What's good, guys? This is What If Issei was the reincarnation of the original Lucifer. This guy. Yeah. Rise of Liban Lucifer. That might be actually just the grandfather of Vali, but I'm going to say that was the original Lucifer. The one who died against, in a fight with God. Anyway, yeah. In this version, that's what happened. Whenever he died, for about 2,000 years, the time between the Great War and the time when he finally was, in that fight, whenever he came back, he had 2,000 years. Now, mainly, he's not as strong as he once was. At least not currently. And the original Lucifers were comparable to Sir Zex. The original Lucifer himself was. The original Satans could keep up, but never beat him. And that's why whenever he survived the war, they were so happy, because he was young when the war started. Very young. But he actually was considered to be he's basically considered the 5th strongest back then, and he was a little bit weaker than he was now. They were considered the top 4 strongest demons, and he was number 5. A few years later, after their death, he was considered the strongest demon. And that's crazy to believe, but yeah, that's how it would go. And then there was the guy right beneath him was Beelzebub, the new Beelzebub. I believe that was Cyborg's older brother, I'm not certain. Anyway, I think it was the older brother, that one dude. The one who kidnapped Asya. Anyway, back to the What If. As Issei would actually be born, but he would keep all his memories. He wouldn't go back to he would keep his body training so he could reach the original peak, but he knew this body was of a human. He thought he made it where he would go into his about 2,000 years later, he would go into his own bloodline. No matter, he could find a way to make this one very strong too. He figured his name out. Issei Hyodo. But he liked the name Lucifer because it was his original name. So to keep it in, he messed with his parents' memories to make it where whenever they named him, they would name him Issei Lucifer Hyodo. And it was a really easy thing to do, but it was still a little bit more difficult. Now, as Issei would go through his normal life, as powerful as fuck as he was, being the original Lucifer, he's still going to go by the name Issei. So I'm still going to call him Issei for the What If, just for simplicity's sake. And his hair would be brown, but he would still... That's why he dresses like this, because this was his old gear. Now he dresses like that. The thing is, he could already tell he had a gear. And he thought it was hilarious, because Michael didn't catch it yet. And Michael was the closest thing to one of the original Lucifers in power that there was, other than maybe Sir Zex. And I guess Azazel, too. Those 3 would probably be pretty equal fights right now. Or at least that's what Issei thought. And keep in mind, he's 1 at this time. He's 1 year old, getting some of his powers back. But he does figure things out very quickly, and he kind of tries to play dumb for a while, so they don't know that he's the original Satan. Well, the original Lucifer. And the first few months, it was pretty easy. It was pretty difficult to do, but he figured it out. And over the next few years, he started figuring things out. Because, while he did remember his past life, he knew this one was his real life. He still gained power immensely quickly. You'd have to be at least one of the top sensing type demons to be able to even figure out how strong he was. And there's maybe 4 demons I could figure out, because he was massing his power almost completely. But he always talked with Drake. And Drake accepted that the original Lucifer was his wielder. Although they didn't really get along very well in their past lives. When one was a dragon of domination, the other was a demon with the power to basically stop everyone but God in a fight. They might wonder why. Why didn't they get along? Well, because the four strongest devils were the ones who had to fight the red dragon, while God himself took the white dragon on in a fight. Now, granted, the fallen angels were the ones helping, mainly Azazel. It was Azazel and God, as well as Michael, versus one, and the four dragons versus and the four devils versus the other, making it a pretty good 4v1 and 3v1, respectively. Now, he remembers what Lucifer did to him. Lucifer sliced him up with a sword made of pure ice, used by that one girl, forgot her name, Graphia, Lucifuge. By the Lucifuge family, they made an ice sword for the Lucifer to wield, and he used it to cut Drake's chest. Drake remembered that very well, but he didn't keep the scar, because it didn't really leave a scar. When his body's ethereal, it's what his ethereal form was. He's not going to keep wounds that he would have in his regular body, and he would regrow his limbs, so if he ever got a body again, it wouldn't show the scar. But mentally, he would always remember it. He remembers that even better than he remembers why him and the Albion were even fighting. Now, they decided to let bygones be bygones, and maybe one day they could, respect more each other. They already do respect each other very well. But over the next, 12 years, this would be where Issei got to about the age of 13. He just gained strength. He actually notes that he's probably strongest enough to be considerably equal to, as he remembers, Sir Zex. Someone who he thought would be probably the now current strongest demon. He was right. And he knew he'd probably be the only one who could probably match Sir Zex in terms of power right now, although he doesn't even know how strong Sir Zex has gotten over the years. It's been 2,000 years. Has he gotten stronger or weaker? Or has he just stayed the same strength? He's gotten slightly stronger, so yeah, he's stronger than the original four devils, but not by very much. But this is when he notes that he's probably right beneath his original strength, so there's probably a good chance that Sir Zex is stronger than he is. Because Sir Zex was already so much stronger than they were at comparable age, so if he goes off the point when he was 2,000 years old, he thinks that Sir Zex would probably be about twice what his current strength is. Not really, because Sir Zex got weaker over time. He's still the strongest devil, he's just not strong enough to where he could 1v4 the original Satans anymore. That was his peak. His current strength being where he can probably 1v2 them, and still probably win. But Issei right now is probably at the point where he can 1v1 and pretty much come out with a victory quite easily. Maybe 1v2 and lose, barely though. So yeah. As he's noting that he was the strongest Lucifer, he was the strongest Satan, so that's probably the only reason why he would have gone down, as able to take on two of the others. Now, there was a reason why he was considered the strongest of them, because he just had the most raw fighting power. Now, he noticed that his magic isn't the way it once was. He doesn't have the Lucifer ability, which, if you're wondering what I mean by the Lucifer ability, he doesn't have the ability to easily just crunch someone's strength the way he used to. Now, he's still strong enough, so he could probably still crush anybody, but he doesn't have his original abilities. One of which being called the body break. Basically just Issei's dress break, but with this magic going into a cut or wound in the body that he would just absolutely make your body explode through. And his blood ability, which was his entirety of Lucifer's abilities, was the ability of Absolute, which was basically where they can control other devils that weren't as strong as they were. That's basically it. If they were weaker than you, by about a third of what your current strength was, you can control them. If they were more than 1/3, then you could not control them. And if they were less than a third, but barely less than a third, you could control them, but it'd be like so-and-so, so you couldn't force them to do every single movement, but you could get a vast, backing up, getting them to stop attacking. And if they're right at 1/3, you can control them and you cannot control them. It's kind of a 50-50. It depends on mental fortitude. And even if they're like twice your strength, you can control them if their mind is broken. Like if they can't even like think anymore, you can control them kind of like a puppet, but very, very difficultly, since basically it mainly uses your magic up the more powerful they are. You can probably only control about 2 people that have the same amount of magic as you do for 2 hours, and that's it. Until you run completely out of magic and you exhaust yourself. Not to death, but just passing out. 3 hours if you're exhausting yourself to death. That's all, though. Like, that's your peak. If you're taking 2 people that are the same strength as you. Now, if they're twice your strength, you can probably last about 2 hours holding one person like that, but once they're out of control, like, once they lose being controlled by you, you're not going to have any abilities on them. And you'll just black out. And you're just done if they're anything more than twice your strength in magic and mental fortitude. Because you're basically out of magic, out of everything instantly if that happens. And that's one of the reasons why they had to use it, because the original Lucifer did use his absolute ability, but he was over-dominated by Drake. His power, basically of domination, overwhelmed the demon. That's why the other 3 had to step in so quickly and help kill him. Now, anyway, back to What If. Now, Issei's thinking, it's as 2 more years would pass, he's 15 now, he's going happy, he's good. Then he realized he's not quite there. And he thinks he's only got a few months left, and maybe he'll come back to the world, because he's already shown to be twice as strong as his original self, and he thinks he's actually now probably stronger than Sir Zex was. Maybe even comparable to the original god of the Bible. Not the Trifecta or Great Red, but comparable to the original god of the Bible at least. Now, probably not going to beat him, but still keep up. As he would note that even he thinks he's not going to be he thinks he's one of the top strongest now. And he is. He's right up there. Like, he could be on the list of top 10. Which doesn't change often, but this one would be a major change. But it wouldn't be doable. And he wants to go back to being a devil, but he knows what would have to happen. The Lucifer family had the ability to turn other people into devils, which was pretty easy for any really family to do. You just had to put your magic into a piece of something, normally like a little group of things, and then just, boom, give us 1-to-1. But if they were too much stronger, if they were stronger than you, you had very little ability to control someone. And the pawn, which he knew the most powerfully, would be considerably the best choice, since it would just be the ability with everything. Now, back to What If. As Issei would walk around more as a kid, as he would still be a pervert. He would still hang out with Mitsuda Motohanma. That's one of the reasons why Lucifer was down there. He was a perv. So this made it where it was really surprising, because Issei knew who Rias was. He knew that was the little sister of Sir Zex. He remembers his old fighting companion being quite strong, the one he basically trained up. But he doesn't know exactly if he doesn't want to approach Rias yet. He felt a fallen angel's presence around him, though. And he remembers this girl very, very well. She was around whenever he was alive, and she was considerably a nuisance. Not strong, not powerful, just annoying. Since he remembered as a fallen angel, she hit him in the shoulder with a light spear that bounced off, but still pissed him off, because he was going to hit Azazel with the strongest attack. Just for this one girl to annoy him enough to where he was straight about to turn his attack, just for him to have been injured greatly. The only reason God was able to kill him, because he was injured by Azazel with a giant light spear, because this girl's light spear annoyed him. And when he turned to fight her, he was hit in the back by a giant light spear. He had no ill will towards Azazel, like, there was a battle, they were going to kill each other. He understood how it worked. He was pissed at her because she interfered in that battle. They were having a 1-to-1 fight. Not even Barakiel stepped in. He was standing right next to Azazel. And then backed up while Asmodeus was standing right behind him. So literally, like, there was no lack. Like, Barakiel and Asmodeus were fighting. Lucifer and Azazel were fighting. This girl straight up just had to interfere, though. Now, back to What If. As he remembered her very, very well, and he wanted to get his revenge, but he was calm. He would go through what she wanted. If she wanted to go on a date, he was fine with that. They went through the date, they had their fun, then he figured something out. She planned to kill him. Whenever she said, "Would you die for me?" his response was actually a hearty, "No, I don't think I will." She threw the light spear, saying, "Too bad," as he caught it, saying, So, Rainier, have you forgotten me?" as he snaps it like a twig and chucks on the ground. But how are you able to just grab a light spear?" "Oh, I don't know, because I am Lucifer." What? You're Lucifer?" "The original Lucifer. Not a just generational thing, not anything else, just the reincarnation of the Lucifer you helped injure." "Oh shit." "Yeah. Now, I feel like you're not under the care of Azazel. Who's controlling you? Kokabeel? The war maniac." "I remember him. He was closer to a devil than he was anything else. Even though he was a fallen, I still think he looks like a crow." What are you gonna do to me?" "Simple. I'm going to let you kill me." What?" "Look, I'm playing the human bit. No human can beat you in a fight. I know this. No normal human, at least. No a hero, probably. Any of the exceptional humans, possibly. But this kid, the one I've been basically faking being, couldn't." This is when she would ask, "So what happened to really Issei Hyodo?" "Like I said, I'm the reincarnation of myself. Issei Hyodo is me. I am Lucifer. So, technically nothing. We're the same person. So, when you seemed like just some perv, I was a perv, and I accept that. Now, I'm not the man I once was, I'll admit that, but I am as strong as I once was. Now, I'll let you kill me. Take that satisfaction, but on one condition. You allow me to I turn you into a devil, you survive. If I don't, you die. I let you kill me, I come back as a demon, so I can get my powers back. Even if they aren't the exact ones I once had, I still would like to be a devil again. 100 years of life just seems so short." "Yeah, I guess it does." "Good. Now, if you don't mind," as he pulled his shirt open, "get a good shot in." 1 second, guys. Alright, so you know the plan, right, Rainier? Yes, I do." "Good, now take the shot." "You know this is gonna hurt like a bitch, you do know that, right?" "Yes. And I swear to God, if you take this opportunity to fuck with me and turn me into a fallen angel, I will tear you apart and then use you as a doormat." Okay." As she makes the strongest light spear she can muster, Issei completely lets his guard down, on purpose, as it went clean through his back. As he hit the floor and bounced, he thought Rias, putting just a drop of magic in there, as much as this boy would have basically been able to give normally. Unknowingly, of course. Issei wouldn't know how to use magic. It would just, come out of him. So he puts that trigger mount in, and Rias appears. As Rainier flew away. As Issei blacked out, as he understood what was happening, he was being turned into a devil. He had people tell him what it was like. As he became conscious, he said, "Wow, couldn't have been a dream. I know it wasn't. As he felt his chest, he felt how the light spirit did still affect him, so he would go through his chest for a second, using his magic to kind of hold it away. Now, he would use this, and it would only work for about a second, and he would just disperse every fragment of light, saying that girl really did not know how to take a light spear out. I guess it makes sense it splintered on me. As he took all the fragments out and then crushed them. Okay, that's much better. Now, to school. Act like nothing happened. I haven't got the full strength yet, but I know it'll increase slightly sooner or later. And it does, it reaches the point where he's actually stronger than Sir Zex, barely, though. Only by like a hair. As he walks, as he had to kind of hold his power back so it wouldn't just straight up overwhelm Rias, it was enough to where she could tell he was strong, and he still took the 8 pawn pieces, but he didn't need them sealed away. So, he's not those pawn pieces aren't sealed away, he's way stronger. His body can withstand it since he's already strong enough to basically walk around, pretty much do whatever he wants, honestly. As he would basically walk to school, do his thing. At the end of the day, he would still hang out with Mitsuno Monohama, go home, but he wouldn't act like, oh, something's off. He would meet Donaseek that night. He would meet Donaseek that night, and he was pissed. He remembers Donaseek extremely well. Donaseek captured little young demons, little kids that couldn't fight for themselves. Ones that no other race would do this. Donaseek himself, with Kokobil's help, would capture little kids and tear them apart for the amusement. In front of their parents. He would have done this to kids like Sir Zex whenever Sir Zex was a little kid, except for the fact Sir Zex wound up unlocking his 12 wings and his power appeared. If that wouldn't have happened, Donaseek would have killed Sir Zex. And this makes a very lot of memory. The only reason he survived the war was because he hid like a coward. He would basically just use hit and run tactics. Everyone else would fight to the death. He would fight and wait till someone would be there to kind of keep fighting and basically just unleash whoever he was fighting to the person who was there for his backup. Costing hundreds of fallen angels' lives only by him being saved by them. And they were all like stronger fallen angels. They kept doing that to protect their like underlings, just for their underlings to have them killed. Every single time. To the point where they stopped sending Donaseek in groups of people stronger than him, because every time he would be the only one to come back. Anyway, back to What If. As Issei would basically go through his day, meet Rias, say, so I'm a devil, He let his wings out and then showed her the sacred gear, showed her what it was. It was the Red Dragon Emperor gear, or the balance, or the boosting gear. Already leveled up to its about 4th phase, and she said, how come you didn't use this against that one fallen angel, Rainier? As Issei would be honest, I am Lucifer, yada yada yada, I felt like doing that, no other way I felt like I could get your attention, honestly. I figured if I just said I was Lucifer, you'd just straight up ignore me. After all, I do know the bad blood between you and my descendants. You know, it helps being able to read magical books, because half the ones in the library are just magical books. How could you tell? It doesn't matter what you put them under, and how much magic you use to cover them up. I have enough magic reserves to probably match up with your brother. I think I can read Dispatch through a little bitty, little magic seal. So in other words, I read them all. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Good, now listen. I am 100 times stronger than you, and that's on the low ball. There's no way you're that strong. Oh yeah? Come here. Barrier. Making one just around the Occult Research Club with all the members inside. Barrier. as he made a second one inside of it with just him and her. Now, magic standoff completely. Alright. As she would basically make a kind of pool of magic around her, with the ability of destruction that could even crack his barrier, just for him to flex, shatter his barrier, not intentionally, he just did it because he flexed, and surrounded by fire, he said, "Do you see the difference between our powers? I am a Lucifer, the original Satan. Do you think, for a moment, a little kid who doesn't even have more than 2 wings could match up to a 12-winged Satan class demon?" "No, I don't." "Then why did you actually accept that?" "To prove something." "What was that?" "Yes, you are more than 100 times stronger than me, but I was able to crack your barrier." "Okay, fair point. What would you have done if I had made a full power barrier?" "Wait, that wasn't your full power barrier?" "Here, watch. Absolute barrier." And so you basically make one about 4 inches thick that was completely indestructible by anyone other than Sir Zex. Literally, even top fighting classes couldn't break this thing. Anyone who was weaker than Sir Zex could barely put scratches on it. I mean, there was that other demon who was right beneath Sir Zex, but I guess he could crack it, but he could never fully break it. There could even Sir Zex. Sorry about that, guys. As we get back to seeing what would happen, as Issei would show Rias how strong he really was, and basically wait a little while. When they would go after Asya, Issei felt like making her a part of his group, and asked Rias to make her into a demon, a devil, whenever she died. He was pissed. And he said, "Rainier, I told you not to kill this one. Did you not listen to me? I wanted her abilities. Besides, can't you just revive her? You know that's not how my powers work, right?" "But I thought you had new powers." "Yes, but none of them have revival in them." "But what about what you used to do a long time ago?" "New powers. I can't do that anymore. The best I could do is make a magical thing to keep her alive. But if I did that, it would be the equivalent of saying, 'Hey, here's my life. Take it and keep yours for a little while.' I could hold it for maybe a month, and then both of us die." What? So I'd be basically keeping her alive at the expense of my life for a month. 2 if I'm lucky. So without Rias, you can't revive her. I can make the peace to revive her, but we all know what would have to happen if I did that. I'd have to show who I really am. Make the pieces by myself from scratch, something no one else can do, and put my entirety of energy into that. I'd be drained of magic for a month, and possibly at the edge of death, because I'd be making the full piece. Normally about 20 devils get together to put enough magic in to make it, and the one who puts them, and then they have one person, infuse their own, kind of magic into it. That's how Rias' pieces are read. As this is when Issei stating, if I had to make it by myself, which I would have to since no one here has enough magic to keep up with it, I'd be the equivalent of injuring myself for each piece. And then by the end of it, I wouldn't even have enough strength to fight you off. As this is when Issei has her, revive. Then Rainier was not killed. Neither was Donacy, Calwin, or Middled. They were all given demon wings, looking more like Akanos, except for Donacy. He decided he would vanish. Issei gave him 2 minutes to gather his things and go as fast as possible. He decided to teleport as far away as he could, so he wouldn't get caught up. So he would just sit there with Kokobile and tell Kokobile what happened. Kokobile would say, "Let's go over there and kill them," As Fried would stand behind him, he said, "I don't know if that's a good idea." "Why not, Fried? Look at me." Fried, who was torn up to pieces as Issei basically just walked in, pimp slapped him clean through a wall. And this is a brick wall, so it left a dent in the wall and hurt this guy. Now, alright. This is where, as Asya was revived, Issei would let her stay with him. And that's how we're ending off part 1. We'll get into everything else and all that in part 2 and up. Later, guys.